Hunting monsters is a fantasy we as humans have had for generations, from our ancestral roots of hunting to the rise of medieval tales of slaying dragons. And now, in the modern era, that is represented through the world of video games. And no video game fulfills our desire to slay monsters more than Monster Hunter. Monster Hunter is a game series developed by Capcom. First released in 2004, there have been several sequels, spin-offs, and even a movie. The newest game, Monster Hunter Wilds, releasing in just a few weeks as of making this video. The game involves the player taking the role of the hunter. You create your character, don your weapon of choice, hunt a monster, kill or capture said monster, and use the parts of the monster to build better gear so you can hunt even more monsters. The game is difficult but rewarding. In-depth combat systems, flashing moves, and tons of beautifully designed monsters. Simply put, it's a lot of fun, but this begs the question, why are we hunting these monsters? Within the game's lore, there are a few reasons why monsters are hunted. The first is for population control. There are many quests where you have to kill monsters because their numbers are getting out of control and throwing the ecosystem out of balance. Second is for protection, as many monsters become highly aggressive and put settlements and people in danger. Finally is for research purposes, as the studying of monster parts and behavior contributes to the development of technology for the people in the game. While these reasons may vary in how much they justify hunting the monster, the next question I want to ask is, should you feel remorse for hunting them? Clearly the monsters want to live, and this is reflected through gameplay. Many monsters won't attack the player unless they strike first, and when they do get to low enough health, they start to limp away from the hunter. You can't help but feel pity for these monsters. The monsters are also beautifully designed and mirror the habits of real-life animals, adding even more to the illusion that this is a living, breathing being. It really does feel like a shame to put down such majestic and amazing animals. Sure, there are reasons they are hunted, but at the end of the day, most of the monsters you hunt aren't inherently evil and do show a desire to live. It is, however, possible to capture monsters instead of killing them, but this merely delays the monster's inevitable demise, as it sends them to a battle arena where you face the monster one-on-one. Now, you don't have to do the arena battle, but the game clearly wants you to kill the monster at some point. Labeling them as monsters also seems intentional. The word monster clearly has a negative connotation, but can these creatures really be considered monsters? Monster is defined as an animal of strange or terrifying shape. To us, the player, these creatures are definitely strange, and terrifying certainly applies to many of them. However, to the people in the Monster Hunter universe, these creatures aren't necessarily strange, at least relative to the rest of the wildlife that exists. And many of these monsters could also be considered quite cute, at least to me. I do concede that they are certainly terrifying due to the many ways they can kill you and cause destruction, but they are not nearly as terrifying as the methods the hunter employs to slay monsters. Swords seemingly built for people 10 times the size of the average person, giant guns that can fire a barrage of explosive bullets, armor built from the remains of their slayed peers, and hunters with the strength and agility to maneuver the weapons and gear as if they were made of styrofoam. The hunter can be truly terrifying, and the hunter is clearly terrifying and strange to the creatures. Maybe the title of the game is a bit misleading. After all, monster is both an adjective and a noun. Instead of it being about hunting monsters, perhaps it's about a hunter who is a monster. A monster hunter. Now, I know what you're thinking. It's just a game. Maybe it's not meant to be that deep. And I understand that perspective, but I like to overthink things, and it can be eye-opening to try to see from multiple perspectives. And I like to think that the game was made with these multiple perspectives in mind. I think the game designed these monsters and their behavior to be so realistic to add to that hunting fantasy every player has. But through that fantasy, another monster is created in the player. When you first begin playing the game, the monsters are intimidating, and you sometimes feel more like you are the one truly being hunted. But to beat Monster Hunter, a certain amount of grinding and repetition is necessary. You will discover the fastest, most efficient ways to slay these monsters over and over again. And at that point, I believe the hunter becomes the monster. What keeps you playing the game, however, is the fact that there will always be an increasingly difficult creature to hunt. At that point, you go back to feeling frightened, and the creature becomes the monster. This means the role of monster will alternate between the player and the creature. This allows monster to be both an adjective and a noun in the title Monster Hunter. Whether this was the intention all along or not, it's my favorite aspect of the Monster Hunter games. I think most people automatically assume monster refers to the creatures in the games, but Monster Hunter shows us anything, or rather anyone, can become a monster. These kinds of terms are entirely relative and subjective. People want to slay monsters, and we will create situations and simulations to fulfill this desire. However, I think it's important to remember what it really means to be a monster hunter.